House hopefuls competing to propose dramatic changes to tax policy. But do any of their plans solve the biggest problem with the system? Here now exclusively, Brian Gardner, the Senior VP of Washington Research at Keefe, Bruyette & Woods, KBW, along with Gary Kaminsky, back. He's host of Wall Street Week. Brian, right off the bat, do any of the tax plans that these people have put out bring us eventually, within at least a decade, to a surplus?
No, because I don't think you look to the tax code to get you to the surplus. It has to be the spending side. The plans that are generally being put forward are going to be revenue neutral at best, going to lose revenue possibly, depending on how it's scored.
Wait, who's revenue neutral? Who gets you close enough?
I said that at best, but really, when you look at where tax revenue is as a percentage of GDP, it's at a pretty close to an historical average. Spending continues to be slightly above the historical average. In order to get the budget in balance, you have to look to the spending side, and that means looking at entitlements. I don't look at the tax code as a way to balance the budget. I just think it provides enough revenue for essential spending plans. I also look at it especially from the international side, and the corporate side, it has to be fixed because we're bleeding jobs and companies out of the United States.
It does, and at the CNBC debate, Gary, I watched almost debate, all of it, but touching those third rails, the big spending programs that Brian's talking about, that has to be discussed tonight.
Well, we know. Look, you and I both know what happened 2 weeks ago is not going to happen tonight. This is being billed as a business debate. It will be a business debate. I am certain that Neil and Maria are going to...
fantasy football?
There's going to be a conversation about the people that are watching. They may not be tax experts or tax accountants, but they will understand the difference between the candidates in terms of what they think they can do to grow the economy. Because, as Brian pointed out, this is about the spending side of it. But if we were growing the economy at 3 or 4%, then you'd have more tax receipts, regardless of which tax proposal it was. If the economy was growing faster, that's part of the way to get into a surplus. There's nothing that's happened in the last 8 years that makes anyone think that's possible.
Getting rid of some regulations that are overbearing, that are onerous, Brian, are important, but keeping some regulations so we don't get back into dramatic financial crises, how do they attack that?
Sure. I mean, I think it's very tough. I mean, I think some Republicans will go and attack Dodd-Frank, but I don't think they're going to suggest drastic new replacements.
They'd say repeal it, get rid of it, but is that realistic?
But that's not going to happen. But I think when you look at the energy sector, manufacturing, pharma, tech, that's where you want to be looking to ease regulations. I think a huge topic has to be on the table tonight, which is mortgage finance. It's 7 years into the conservatorship of Fannie and Freddie. They have balance sheets combined of over $5 trillion in assets, and no one's talking about what do you do with them. There's an issue for the mortgage finance system and taxpayer exposure.
We're up against the clock here. Brian Gardner, Gary Kaminsky, great to have you both watch tonight.